Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Thursday, and it'd be March 28th, 2019. I have a couple of stories I want to cover with you that go into, the economy. And the first one here is quarter four GDP revised lower to 2.2% from 2.6%. Full year GDP rate rises 3%. Now, this is really important, actually. For most people who don't follow economic news, what this tells me is with they're going to have to basically lower interest rates. Here's my thinking: with raising interest rates the way they did, and QT or quantitative tightening, in other words, the Federal Reserve reducing its balance sheet, selling off some of those mortgage-backed securities, CDOs, credit default swaps, all that crap paper that they bought to get us out of the 2008 crisis, those worthless products that the banks created. Um, the monumental Herculean effort is being made here, and we're in emergency monetary policy right now with low interest rates, still low interest rates, and printing money, the printing of money. And that's the best we can get out of it is 3%. And by the way, I don't think we'll be 3% by the end of the year. I think it'll probably be closer to 2.5%. So what that tells me is money is going to become cheaper again. They're going to print more money. Money's not going to be worth as much a year from now as it is now. That's what this chart indicates with the GDP growth. That indicates that raising the interest rates is not working. Well, we already knew that it was killing the stock market and it's killing the housing market. So the Fed is literally backed into a corner, gang. I mean, this is the end of what we call the Keynesian economic cycle. So something big is going to happen with a downturn in the economy, and we'll have to go through something big, something along the lines of the Great Depression. I don't want to use that as an example, though, because that was deflationary. I believe what we're going to go through is hyperinflationary. But I'm not going to read the article to you. I'll link everything below like I always do. But it is important that you pay attention to these numbers when they're lowering expectations of growth. So that's what's happening. There is a slowdown in the economy, and the best they can get right now that they think, and it's wrong, and they know it's wrong. I think they're actually giving that 3% number to give you a little bit of hope that we're actually still going up, because going up is better than going down. But I'd be surprised if we hit 2.5% at the end of the year. So yeah, cue this video, watch it at the end of the year, and we'll see how correct I was or incorrect. I've been wrong before. Um, Next story is pending home sales tumble 4.9% year over year, 14th straight month of declines. That is pegged directly to raising interest rates. Um, so basically, home prices have gone up, but raising the interest rates just took it a little too far out of people's reach. Home sales are down, new starts are down, permits are down. Well, actually, permits are about the same, but everything else is down. Um, so we can expect the housing market to continue to go down during this season, I believe. That would be spring through fall 2019, unless they reduce interest rates. And there's no telling when they're going to reduce interest rates, but I guarantee you it's going to happen. It's a certainty. The next story is Trump warns world markets are fragile, demands OPEC increase the flow of oil. Well, that's wonderful, isn't it? The very same regime that kills Christians and homosexuals, we're on our hands and knees begging them to increase the flow of oil to make oil cheaper because our economy is unfortunately going down the tubes. And so, one thing that can be done to spur temporary activity that is in the positive, that is in the green, is reducing the price of energy. So Trump is literally begging the Saudi Arabians. Remember, I did a story on Saudi Arabia a little while ago about the executions they have there and what they execute people for. And that type of government apparently is our, number one trading partner along with China. They like to kill Christians. And we're begging them for them to actually bring down the price of oil or increase oil flow, which is tantamount to the same thing. So But at any rate, these are little telltale signs. Remember now, the reason why I keep bringing this stuff up is not to kick the dead horse. It's because the mainstream media is telling you everything is fine. Don't worry about anything. The economy is fine. Don't worry about the bond yield inversion. Um, I'm telling you that something different is happening here. And for those of you who are relatively new to YouTube and weren't on YouTube or watching YouTube videos, or basically the alternative media is what I mean by that. I shouldn't say just YouTube. This is the kind of stuff we saw happening in 2007. And the media at that time also said, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. And of course, the alternative media was saying they're wrong. This is, unfortunately, we're getting pre-tremors here for a massive earthquake financially. And they were right. And the mainstream media was wrong, and they claimed, well, they were just caught off guard. So were they caught off guard, or were they trying to hide it? I suspect that they were doing what their paymasters were telling them to do, which is don't spook the markets. Don't spook the markets. As soon as someone in the mainstream says, hey, listen, guys, we're heading into a massive downturn here, you may want to take out your stocks. I meant that would start, just an avalanche of people leaving the market. That's the last thing in the world the Fed wants. That's the last thing in the world the government wants. Everyone wants that stock market to remain high in the mainstream media because that's a fallacy. It's supposed to be an indicator of how healthy our economy is. Look at that stock market. Look how high it is. Our economy is very healthy. No, 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 no. That is an illusion. We've talked about this in other videos before. It's an illusion. The bond market tells us a lot more than the stock market will. And also, too, it's harder to manipulate the bond market because it's just a massive juggernaut of cash. There's just so much money in the bond market, it takes a lot more money to manipulate it. So at any rate, those are the stories I wanted to cover with you this morning, and I just wanted to make you aware that basically the Q4 GDP revised and pending home sales are still declining. And the weird part is in the mainstream media, I heard they were doing very good. And once again, it was a mainstream YouTube video that I had seen. And I disagree strongly. I don't know why they outright lie like that and they can get away with it. But it doesn't mean the housing market is collapsing. I'm not trying to say that. And that is not what's happening for sure. It's not collapsing. It is slowing down. And at a time where it's supposed to be speeding up. So that's the worry here. Once again, we saw this in 2007. We did see this in the spring of 2007, the same thing with the housing market decline. And then in 2008, it got significantly worse. So at any rate, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us today. We do appreciate when you can do that. And I'm going to end by saying income tax, so you know you don't own your labor. Sales tax, in case you thought you owned that money. Inflation, in case you're foolish enough to save. Capital gains tax, to punish you for trying to get ahead of inflation. Property tax, so you know you can't own anything. Inheritance tax, so you can't pass on what little is left. Thank you again, gang. Have a great day.